Okay, so there we go. Advanced setup. We have targets on everything.
There you go.
And that's probably what you want if you are a YNAB budget nerd, if you're tackling this advanced setup. And when you have targets on everything, that unlocks the cost to be me.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, I think this is where we differed a little bit in the simple setup video, where I was saying cost to be me, that's an advanced feature.
Yeah.
Don't even worry about that. And you were like, I think we can utilize it.
I struggle with it because it's like, yes, it is. Okay, I would call this an advanced feature, but it's so useful for new people. I wanted to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Are not alone.
No, you are not. All right, Ernie. So we did a simple YNAB setup video. Went over pretty well. People liked it, but as we knew, people were going to clamor, absolutely clamor. That's a weird word, for the advanced YNAB setup. So that's what we're doing here today. We're not talking like advanced features necessarily. When we were brainstorming this episode, there were a lot of things that we wanted to talk about. We're like, no, let's keep it tight. We're only talking about setup. So like if you were to set up a new plan and do it like in a more advanced way, what would it look like? So that's what we're doing today.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. I've been so excited all morning getting ready because I'm driving this thing. And
Ernie's the driver.
I can't wait.
I'm the passenger princess today, and I love it. So here we are. All right. So
let's jump
should
right
we just
in.
jump right in?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So are we going to add accounts first?
We're going to add accounts first.
Okay.
Accounts was way down the list on the simple setup. We focused on categories and targets first, but hey.
Well, we were like, just add your checking account, like just keep it chill, or maybe one credit card. Yeah, but we're going to add... I already made a list. We're gonna add all the things.
A whole bunch of accounts. So, and I'm connecting. So we're gonna be connecting to Redneck Bank. Yep. It's a budget nerds staple.
You'll have to change the amounts because it always gives you tiny amounts or something.
It's really weird.
Yeah. User, good. I'm a good user.
Not going to tell you that password of that dummy account.
Sneaky password.
Okay, so here's a list of all the accounts. I mean, that's a lot. We're not going to do all of them, but we are going to do quite a bit.
Okay. Yeah, so this is kind of cool because if you connect to your bank and you have multiple accounts at that bank, it'll kind of guess what the account type is, right?
Yes.
Based on the name, I guess.
So right down here at the bottom is the YNAB account type. And if YNAB guesses wrong, this is really cool. You can change the account type. So let's unselect the ones I don't want to add. So I want to add let's add the 401 because that's totally advanced, totally nerdy. We're not going to do business accounts here.
Okay.
We're not going to do that one. Not going to do a CD. There's the checking as checking.
This really is every single thing you can think of. Okay.
Credit card, yes.
Mm-hmm.
HSA, I want to add that. And here it's listed as a checking account.
Okay. What do we want to do? Because it could be a check. I mean, it is.
It totally could
be a checking account. Or it could be. You could call it a savings account. But I think what I like to do with my HSA is I like to have it as a tracking account, as an asset account.
Yes, that's what I was going to recommend too. Otherwise, you're playing the matchy-matchy game. And I think that's just extra work. So I
did it for a long time. It was a pain. So yeah, and you don't really need a category for it because it's all for medical, right? It already has a purpose, right?
So
literally, you're not supposed to use it for anything else, right? Or you get a penalty. So
we'll edit. We'll just call it. Well,
and if you're not an American, you don't know what a health savings account is. That's what that is. It's a health savings account. It's a tax advantaged account where you put money in there, and if you spend it. And you can grow. It's an investment. And if you spend it only on medical stuff, you won't be taxed on it. So that's kind of cool.
And I love this. Right there, I just changed it to an asset account.
Okay, nice. Very nice.
Okay, so where is it? All right, there it is. HSA, asset, perfect. IRA, asset, yes. Money market, savings, let's keep that one. Let's keep the mortgage, and that is as a mortgage loan account.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Savings, yes.
Easy peasy.
And then student loan
Yeah, it knows everything. Look at that.
will
So it got
do that as well.
so it got everything right except for the HSA, but that an HSA could be a checking account, it could be a savings account, it could be an investment account, it could be, and it really could, you could conceive of it any number of ways.
I just hit the edit button on the student loan. I want to see what this does.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so this is where I can enter some information
We're going to have to do this anyway. We might as well do
about
it
that
here.
loan account. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Do you have this information written down? Do we need to make it up?
well, I made it up ahead of time. So I'm just going to say,
So prepared. Look at you, Ernie.
I know. For 490,
I love it.
6%. I don't know how realistic that is.
Okay, perfect.
But we're just going to go with that.
Yeah, that
Next.
feels good.
Oh, and I think this is just so cool. So you can attach those loan accounts to categories in your plan. And I don't have a student loan category, so let's create a new one. Let's call it student loan, and let's add it to the monthly bills and expenses group.
Very nice.
Okay, so
You don't have to. I mean, you probably, well, you need a category if you're paying a student
Yes.
loan, right? But you don't have to connect it to the loan account if you don't want to.
you don't have to. The nice thing, and we'll get into this, when you connect that loan account to the category, it opens up a new target type.
Yeah, so that's why we're doing advanced, man.
Okay,
We're
so
going
we've
for
got
it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Should you do that for the
7,
mortgage
8,
too?
9. I absolutely could. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's add a category for that. You do have a category already.
Yep.
So we just need to add the information and link it to that mortgage category.
Let's see here.
Making this one up.
I'm making this one up on the fly.
Yeah, it feels good.
Well, it's an older mortgage, down at 3% there.
yeah, right.
Are there escrow installments or other fees?
Don't
Nope.
forget about the escrow.
Nope. We can do this better ourselves, Ben.
That's right. Get rid of that escrow account, and then I mess it up the next year.
Yeah, it's getting that time of year where it's like, okay, how good was my guesswork?
Well, they keep changing the tax property or the property tax rates, and you never know. So
All right, so
I have a little more grace for my escrow account now after doing it myself.
Right. So we have the accounts we want to add, and we have the account types correctly set up. So we are good to go. And then YNAB's going to bring them all in.
Ooh, isn't that? I haven't seen this screen. This is nice.
It is
I haven't added an account in a long time.
I know, it is a really awesome flow.
Yeah. It's pretty. There we go.
There they all
dropped us
are.
into the student loan. There you go. All right.
Now look at how awesome that is. I was going to say, look at how complicated that is, but this is the advanced setup. This is what
we're going
people
for it.
want. So-
Yeah. If you want to keep it simple to start, that's good. But we kept it simple. Should we change some of these amounts? Or actually, they're not bad. Sometimes it's like $4 in the checking account when you do this dummy.
Right.
This dummy account.
Let's do some
have something in
balance
mind.
management. Like this money market. Well, I mean, they're just like living on the edge here with this
Oh,
checking.
is that 110? I thought that was 11.
That's 110, right? They're trying to just optimize
It's a little tight.
this money market. So
Yeah, let's
we don't want to
chill
play
this out
that.
a little bit.
Let's transfer some of this out. So I'm going to give them, we're going to take 10,000 out.
Yeah, it feels good.
Okay, that
Okay.
balances a little bit better. Perfect. Oh, and you can change the name of the accounts at this point too. So I'm just going to hover over Plaid credit card, hit that pencil icon, and let's just call it credit card. Boom. Perfect. And then when you do that with the credit card, it changes the name of the credit card payment category as well.
Perfect.
Okay, so we got all of our accounts set up.
And we got some categories set up because of the accounts, the student loan,
Yep.
and the mortgage.
And let's put an emoji on the student loan because I have emojis on everything else. So
That's advanced setup is adding an emoji to everything.
Yes,
Add a little color.
absolutely. And you have to make sure that you put it at the beginning.
Right.
Well, even just practically speaking, like if I were to try to add an emoji now, Control Command Spacebar, not YNAB. but like the system is guessing as to the emoji.
Yeah, I don't love the way Apple does this. I wish it would just be like, just let me pick. I don't know. It's cumbersome.
So that's why
know?
I like going to the beginning as well, because then it just opens them all up. And I'm going to do, what is that, a school? Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay.
And there we go.
got it.
So, and we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on customizing the categories because
Yeah, I mean, you can do different category group setups.
Yeah.
And you can move things around, but we're gonna keep it chill and there you go. That's all you got.
yeah. So now this puts us right into targets, and I think, Ben, this is where we're going to spend the bulk of our time.
Yeah, because that was where we were like, I wanted to go deeper. I was like, oh, well, you could do this fancy target and you can do this fancy target. So yeah, we're not going to go over every like target type because there aren't really target types anymore. It's just like, what do you want to do? Right.
Right.
But we're going to go over some. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to go over some different scenarios. Like if I want to do this, how would I set it up? And maybe you'll get some ideas out of it. So that's good.
And I would say these are probably the most popular ones. So, and like you said, they're not going to be everything. We're not going to cover all of them, but there's going to be a lot.
There are some on here that I was like, oh, I never even thought to do that myself. You looked at some supports documentation and they were like, yeah, you could try this because they're fielding all the questions of like, how do I make this happen? And so they've thought of some creative things that you can do with the tools that we have now. It's just pretty cool. So we'll get into it.
All right, so let's start with those new debt payment targets that were unlocked when we added the loan account and then connected the loan account to the category. So I'm going to select that student loan category and create target. And you can see here, it's already brought up the debt payment target type.
Yeah.
And this
you got
is
all sorts of information. Yeah.
This is so cool. This is why I also like connecting that loan account to the category is you get that little payoff simulator. Well, not the simulator, but you get that information in the simulator right here at the category level.
And you can do a lot of the stuff you can do in the simulator here. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And usually what I recommend if somebody asks, like, I would just link if you're like paying off a bunch of debts, like if you're really going after debt, maybe just link the debt that you're currently going after as a link it to the account like this. Because otherwise, usually if you're just paying minimums on everything else, it's just a simple target. You don't need to have all this. But you could. If you're doing proper advanced YNAB setup, you might link all your accounts to like this. So,
and I love this. I entered this information previously during the account setup, and YNAB pulls it in now. So that's my target amount, $490, and let's just keep it at that minimum amount. There's the payoff date. Now I'm just going to enter the date, and let's say I'm going to pick the 25th. That's when my student loan was always due. So every time I do like a student loan demo, I pick that date. It's like
let's show it off though. Like let's show like if you change the monthly payment, what happens to the payoff date? And you can like because this is pretty cool. Like so let's say we added $100 to the monthly payment. It would actually change the payoff date automatically. You have to edit again.
Yeah, now it's March 2039.
Yeah, isn't that cool? So you can change the payoff date and it'll calculate the monthly payment that you need to do. Okay. So like let's say. Oh, go ahead.
How much interest are we saving?
Oh yeah, it'll do that too.
Oh, is that right? 42,000. If I had an extra $100,
how big is the student loan? Oh, you put a chunky student loan, or it put that in for us. Yes. This is like a 70,000. So yeah, so that's why. It's because it's such a long. The bigger the loan, the larger changes happen when you make like little adjustments. It's crazy. Like you look at a mortgage and it's like if you change it by $100 a month, it's like you just saved $1 bajillion in interest. And it's like, whoa. But if you have a car loan that's like 3 years, it doesn't move the needle quite as much, but it still matters.
Yeah. Okay. That was crazy. That was
change the payoff date. Change it to something else. Just like maybe like make it like a year ahead or something.
Okay. So how about March of 2038?
See,
and then YNAB tells me, hey, here's your new monthly payment amount. That's what you have to send.
And this is the amount of interest you're saving. This is the amount of time you're saving, right? So yeah. So you can play with this as much as you like, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Oh man!
But it was $490. Let's just switch it back to what we. That's our minimum rate.
So January 2020, 44. There we go.
18 years. Sheesh. All right.
But I know this YNABer is going to knock it out earlier.
That's right.
Should we run through that again, or should we just? Okay, we'll do this
we could
quickly.
just take whatever. Yeah, this is the same thing, but you'll notice like because it's a mortgage. Well, actually, it's funny. The mortgage is actually the total balance of the mortgage is less than the student loan in this example. So,
Yeah, and the
so
interest
actually it won't
rate
change as much.
is way lower.
Right. So actually, it's not going to move the needle as much if you change things. That's really
Okay,
funny.
perfect. So now we have those set up.
Okay.
Internet here, we already have some targets created. These are targets that we talked about in the simple setup. So we didn't want to spend a whole lot of time, but this is just set aside another every single month. Super easy.
Easy peasy. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to transportation.
Yeah.
And let's say for this category, we don't want more than X dollars per month. So we want to cap it at a certain amount.
Right. You want like the available amount to be no more than this whatever X amount.
Right. So, and so I'm going to use the monthly frequency, and let's say 150.
Perfect.
And by the last day of the month, and then this is where it gets a little advanced. In the simple setup, we said, hey, use that set aside another. At least that's what I was pushing for. Use the set aside another for everything. But now we can dive into this refill up to behavior.
Yeah. So what this does is, so I put aside $150 for transportation. If I only, let's say I only use $100, $50 rolls over into October. And so in October, it's only going to prompt me to put $100 in there instead of 150 because you're kind of topping up the amount that you need, right?
And something really important about this behavior is the category won't recalculate until next month.
Exactly.
So I assigned 150, and you can see if I don't spend that, I have that 150 available in October, but it's still September. In fact, it's September 30th. Even though we're 1 day away, YNAB is still prompting me to add that 150.
Yeah. So what I like to do, well, we'll get into this later, but I like to kind of skim. So I like to set money aside into next month. So at the beginning of the new month, I like to skim any of those categories where I have that type of target on there. I skim off the extra.
Right. So in this case, you would just assign another 150 right there.
Yeah. I would assign another 150, and then on October 1st, I would go through and just remove the extra. So, and YNAB has some ways to make that happen really quickly and easily, and we'll talk about that in a second.
So yeah, that's the refill up to behavior. And this is interesting. Electric gas, this is a variable bill.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those where it can go either way.
Totally.
And I don't know. I don't know if this is a hard rule, but I feel like if there's less fluctuation from month to month, I would opt for the refill up to behavior.
Yeah.
Whereas for someone like myself, where there are massive swings between summer and winter, then I like using the set aside another, and I average out how much I need to put in every single month.
Yeah. So you have it's the same amount every single month, but in the what's the expensive months for you? The summer and winter are expensive, or
winter's expensive, and we're paying $300, $350, sometimes up to $400 per month.
Yeah, a lot of this depends on like what kind of heater you have and all that, right? Yeah. So when winter comes around, you're like drawing off all the money that you saved for the rest of the year because you were spending less than you assigned.
Right. So it evens out. I think how much I'm putting in every single month. Whereas like if I use the refill up to, if I spend $400 one month, well, then I have to refill. I have to put $400 more in the next month generally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's funny. I used to do it that way too, where I'd pick an average and set aside that average no matter what every month. But now I've actually done the refill up to behavior for my electric bill, and I really like it. It works for me because I have a pretty large margin, which is what I call the amount of money between my income and what all my targets are. So I just end up having a little less margin during the expensive months because I have to put more in there to top it up, right? And it works for me. So either way, you can kind of play with this however you want to do it.
And that brings up another point. Even though this is advanced setup, you're not going to have your targets just perfect. That's impossible. Mm-hmm. As time goes on, you're going to want to experiment, and you're going to figure out better ways of handling your exact situation. So again, the goal here is it's advanced, yes, but we're still shooting for good enough.
Exactly. 'Cause
Okay.
you can change it.
Groceries. I did the weekly target here. I don't know if we talked about weekly in the simple setup, but
I think we did a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very similar to that monthly. And I use the refill up to. So groceries being one of those categories where I just kind of want to cap it at a certain amount. And if there's leftover, let's use that leftover for next month.
Very nice.
Okay. Here's one. I need a bi-weekly amount.
Okay, because you pay a bill every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. You know, this is something we hear with a car loan quite frequently. I don't know what other expenses are generally bi-weekly.
Well, sometimes a mortgage you pay bi-weekly.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty
common thing.
one.
Yeah, or maybe like it depends on your situation. Like maybe like childcare. I feel like that kind of goes like a daycare bill goes all sorts of ways. Sometimes it's weekly, sometimes it's monthly, sometimes it's bi-weekly. You know, there's all sorts of other things. But yeah, it's depending on your situation. You might have some bills that are paid every 2 weeks. It's just how it is.
And we do not have a bi-weekly target, but you can still accomplish this.
Common request for sure.
It is. Yes.
For sure. But we have a kind of a way to make it happen for you here. So.
Yeah, so there's two ways. And the first way that I always used to recommend is just turn it into a monthly amount. So use that monthly frequency, and then you multiply the number of payments. So let's say every 2 weeks, let's say I pay $255. And I'm going to do the math right here in this I need field.
Oh, there you
so
go.
I need $255, and I make 26 payments per year. And then I'm going to divide that by 12, the number of months.
It does do the proper order of operations. Right?
Yes, it does. Don't need parentheses. And then there is my monthly amount. So what this is going to get me is at least 2 payments every single month, and then a little bit of extra for those months where I have 3 payments.
There you go. So you just let that. So this, we definitely want to say set aside another, because we want that to build up. Right.
Yes, you need that set aside another.
Yeah, and if you set that up, it'll roll. You might need to top it up a little bit when you first start. Like if you have a bill, like maybe you're in the middle of that month that has 3 payments, you might need to top it up a little bit.
Yep.
But that should be a good amount to coast on going forward.
The other way you can do this, and actually this is the way I've been kind of leaning towards recently. I really like this. You just convert it to a weekly amount. Because I think the math is easier.
Okay.
You take that bi-weekly amount and you just divide it by 2.
Okay.
And then the date doesn't matter. I'm just going to say, yeah, sure, by Friday. And then here's the important one, set aside another. So every week I'm going to set aside $127.50.
Okay.
And this is going to do the same thing. It's going to get me at least 2 payments per month. And then it's going to help me save up a little bit for those months where there's 3 payments.
Nice. That's pretty cool. And I think it's going to tell you not to fund it at all, because we're sitting here on the 30th of September. So
yes. And so let's move forward to October. So in October, there are, what did I say the date? The day, Friday. So there must be 3 Fridays. And so I'm setting aside a total of $637.50.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's 5 Fridays. Right?
Or what did I say?
Yeah. You said 3. You said 3.
Oh, yeah.
But I know what you meant. You meant there's 3 payments, right?
Yes, 3 payments.
Yeah. So that's one of those weird ones where there's going to be an extra payment.
And so, I know that this is a weekly target, but you don't have to fund it every single week. You know, if you get paid every 2 weeks or whatever your pay cycle is, you put in as much as you want and you fill it up as you go. But at the end of the month, that's the important part. That's the total amount you have, $637.50.
Yeah. And the little progress bar is chunked.
Yes.
Right. So you can kind of see the progress there, which is kind of cool.
Cool.
All right. Easy peasy.
And this brings up another important point. You know, we said it is September 30th. We are starting this plan the last day of the month. You can start YNAB at any time. It just, it does not matter. So I'm doing all this work in September knowing that my targets will all carry over into October. I don't have to restart things in that new month.
There you go. All right. So so we have one where it's like, okay, I need it every 2 weeks. What if it's just like, I need it every some random number of weeks, right?
Right. I need $60 every 6 weeks for dog food.
Is this how you do it for Ridge? You have like a Chewy subscription or something like that?
We don't.
I got a Chewy subscription for Bessie, not a sponsor. And yeah, it's actually that. It's every 6 weeks it comes. but it's $100 a month or $100 every 6 weeks because I got a big old dog.
Yeah,
So-
$60 I just pulled from the top of my head. Though that probably is about right for, actually, that's not right for Ridge anymore. He needs a diet change, and I don't even want to talk about it. So yes.
let's just not even talk about it. Don't worry about it.
But what I'm going to do for this really weird cadence, X dollars every Y weeks, I'm just going to convert it to a weekly amount. So I'm going to take that total amount, $60, and I'm going to divide it by how often I need that in weeks. So every 6 weeks. So 60 divided by 6, weekly. And then YNAB tells me, okay, I need $10 every single week. Again, the actual day doesn't matter. Let's just say Saturday. And then I want to set aside another.
There you go. And it'll tell you in October, $40. Yeah,
yep. There we go.
There you go. Yeah. And actually the way I do this for dog food, I pay every 6 weeks. So there's going to be like 1 month where I buy dog food and another month where I don't buy dog food. So I just say $100 and I monthly, and I just do a set aside, or no, a top up. What do we call that again?
Oh, the refill up to.
The refill up to. Yeah, I always say top up, and I can't remember what it's actually called. Yeah, I do the top up thing there. So that way, in the month when I didn't spend it, I just don't have to fund it the next month, right?
Yep.
And that works pretty well for me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to car insurance. We did this one. I just want to mention how we handled it. It's set aside. So this is a yearly bill. And I just did set aside another February 1st.
Yeah, so every February 1st, it's going to reset, and it'll even out that $1,200 for the rest of the year. So it's going to be $100 a month there.
And something to keep in mind when you're playing and setting up these targets, especially with the categories where you pay the bill on a certain date and it's not every month, make sure the date is the month you actually pay the bill. Because then it's going to reset correctly. I think sometimes what people want to do is, okay, that bill is due in February, but I'm going to set the date for January. That's when I want the money by. I want to be a little bit early, right?
Yeah, but then you have this weird thing where it's like, YNAB gets into the new period, and it's like, well, you did it. You don't need to set anything aside.
Right.
And it's like, oh, you do. Right. So yeah, set it for the day when you actually pay the bill. And what's interesting about this too, you'll notice you might be like, hey guys, like $1,200 divided by 12 is 100, but it's saying 200. That's because February is 6 months away. But once you pay the bill in February, that target will actually drop to 100 for the next February.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. So, and this will change too. Like maybe like 1 month you only put aside $100. The target will be more in the next month, or maybe you put extra in there and it'll be less in the following month. So that'll adjust depending on what you actually assign into those categories, which is pretty neat.
Yeah. I just went through and changed a whole bunch of my targets to set aside another. And I was able to do that because I have like 13 years of data. Like I know how much I need to set aside for everything every single month. But if you're just getting started, you're starting right in the middle of some of these cadences. Right. And that's why that yearly target can make sure you definitely are on track for maybe a shortened runway. And then it evens out after that first payment.
Yeah.
Okay.
That feels good.
Holidays. Let's say I need a certain amount every single year, and I don't want to roll anything over.
There you go.
In this case, I'm going to use yearly. Okay, put in whatever amount. So we'll just say $100 every month. That's $1,200 total.
Okay.
I need it by December. And then I'm using that refill up to.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not going to be, yes, I might roll over some leftover money, but that leftover is then to contribute to next year's target amount.
Yeah. So you don't want to, so you always want to spend $1,200 on holidays. Any extra will just contribute to the target next year. So that's nice.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a pretty beefy amount. We only have 4 months till the holidays are, but yeah, it evens out in January.
But it'll even out in January. Yeah. Cool.
Okay, here's one that I get every so often in workshops where people are like, I don't want to spend more than say $600 on clothing every single year. Like they want a yearly amount, but they want to make sure they don't go over that.
Right. Oh yeah, this is really interesting. I've never used this one. Have you ever used this kind of trick here?
I haven't.
Okay, yeah, it's interesting. So, yeah, you're saying so this way you can save and also spend along the way, right? Which is really helpful. Actually, that's
Yes.
helpful for like holidays too, right?
Yeah, and the reason this is just a little bit different is because you're probably spending a lot more along the way than you would with holidays.
Totally. Yeah, yeah.
So I'm just going to say December 1st and then refill up to. Okay, so it breaks it down in this monthly amount, but this does not mean that I can only spend $150 per month.
Right. It's just what you should set aside based on what you want to spend throughout the year.
Yes, but let's say in September, I go out today and I spend $300 on clothing. Well, I'm going to have to assign another $150, but then moving forward, it recalculates and the monthly amount goes down. It's going to keep me within that $600 amount for the whole year.
Yeah, which is interesting. I a lot of people do this, but like I don't love it because I feel like just because I guess I can see the argument. It's like because I spend extra on clothes now, I'm not going to need as many clothes later, right?
Yes.
But I don't know. I don't know. It makes me nervous. Like I'm going to end up with not enough.
I do not like setting those yearly amounts because it's all, in my experience, it's always like really good on paper. It's good in theory, but then when you actually start living your life, you're like, this is completely unsustainable. It's unrealistic, and it just becomes frustrating at the end.
I think maybe it's for something like this where it's a very variable discretionary expense. It's really hard to predict a whole year of spending. Right.
Exactly.
Whereas predicting a month of spending is a lot easier, So, but do whatever you want. If you want to try it, go for it.
Right. You've been using YNAB for 20 years and you haven't spent more than X amount of dollars on a particular expense, at any point. Yeah. Go ahead. Do that behavior.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Life insurance. We don't need to talk about this one. Because it's basically just the car insurance one, but I used the custom. So this was for every 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So custom, the total amount, set aside another, and then the due date with that repeat, and then the cadence there. And the repeat, the options are only months and years.
Right.
I think sometimes people are hoping there's a weeks option here, but again, we don't have the biweekly or the every 6 weeks or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so you have this one for a job loss category, right? Or do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's go to job loss. So what's the behavior with this one? I want a certain balance with no time frame.
Yeah, like I'm not like trying to get to a certain amount by a certain time. I just like eventually I want to have a certain amount of money in this category.
So I'm going to use this custom option, enter in that total amount. I don't know, 15,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want the behavior, this now opens up a third option here. In addition to set aside another, fill up to, you have a balance of.
And it's just the custom that has that third option.
Just
right?
the custom, yes. And I'm not going to select by date.
Mm-hmm.
And then YNAB puts this nice little 15,000 needed eventually,
right? And you'll notice that the available amount hasn't turned yellow because this is not underfunded because YNAB has no idea how much money you want to set aside in that category every month. So it's not even a target in the same sense of these other ones where it actually get a monthly amount. It's just a tracker. That's really all it is. So if you set money aside in there, you see that little pie chart with the percentage that'll go up. It'll track your progress, and also it's kind of a reminder, like, oh yeah, how much did I want in there eventually? 15,000. It's just like always a note there available for you.
Yeah, I use this all the time for those goals where I want to keep them on the top of my head, top of my mind, but I don't want to like actively put something every single month.
Yeah.
Just maybe when it works out.
Yeah, if you're like, you can't tie me down, like, don't tell me what to do. Like, don't tell me what to do past me, right?
But then as we always get closer to the due date, that's when I change it and I actually put a date on there to, kind of build up that urgency to save that amount.
I like that. Cool.
All right, next behavior. I want a certain amount by a date, and there's going to be no spending until that date.
Okay. So this is like you're going to save up a certain amount and you're going to spend it all at once.
Yes. Right? So let's say for the grad party.
Yeah.
Custom, enter in that amount, 2,500, have a balance of, put in that date, and let's say, when is Simeon graduating? May of 2027. I'll do April of 2027. There we go. And now it's just a monthly amount. And again, I'm not spending from this. If I were to spend from this, that would take away from the progress.
Right. Yeah. So if you end up spending from it, you're actually going to have to assign more. Is that right? Do I have that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
It'll so if you do end up spending from it, that target amount will go up, because basically it's saying, oh, you wanted $2,500. Well, if you spent $500, now you really need to save $3,000 total, right?
Yep.
So it's going to adjust the target.
And this is one of those things where I'm not going to repeat this target, so I can save up the money earlier than when I'm actually paying the bill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why you set the April date. Yeah, and then when you actually pay it, you can just delete the target or create a new one if you're going to do it for your next kid, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and actually what I ended up doing, because we got 3 boys, we're going through the grad parties like crazy right now, is I would just create a brand new category. And I hid the old grad party category, just because it got weird when I would set a new target. Mm-hmm. Because it had all this past data
had the money in
it.
there. Yeah. Oh, the information. Yeah.
And it just ended up kind of messing things up. So it's just cleaner if I created a brand new category with a new target.
There you go. All right. So you got one more behavior you want to go after here. I want to maintain a balance of X amount. So I just want to I want there to be a certain amount of money in the category all the time. Right. And if it's less than that, then I want to set some money aside. And this is a really common request, like set a certain amount aside with a cap, right? That's a big thing. And I really want to see it too. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah. So, and because a lot of times people come into YNAB and they already have an amount of money for something. And so they're not looking to put more in. They just kind of want to maintain that balance. So in this case, let's say car maintenance, $2,000. I have the $2,000 already. All right, so I'm going to choose the monthly frequency here. I'm going to enter in that total amount that I have and want to maintain, 2,000. Okay. And then I'm going to use the refill up to behavior.
Okay, so that way if it ever goes down, the next month it'll turn yellow and say, hey, you need some money here.
Right, so there I enter in the 2,000 that I already have. Mm-hmm. And then what's going to happen when I spend from this, the next month, it will prompt me to then fill it back up to 2,000.
And what if you're like, oh man, I can't stick to, maybe you have a $2,000 car repair and you're like, I can't just stick $2,000 in there 1 month. Then you could edit it and change it to another target type. And then once you get to the 2,000 amount, you change it again. Right.
Or you could just leave it at the refill up to, and then every
just set
month
what you can aside. Yeah.
YNAB will recalculate. Yeah, but people don't like having that yellow stick around.
Right.
They like having that monthly amount that they can hit so it turns green. I get that.
Yeah. So there's not a way to automate this yet, but that would be a way to do it yourself if you want to do it.
And if you don't have the total amount yet, well, set whatever target you want. Use whatever behavior to get you to that amount. And then once you have the amount that you want to maintain, just delete the target and set it up what I just did, like I just did right now with that refill up to monthly option.
Yeah. Now, I probably shouldn't mention this because it's software development ideas. These are just ideas, okay? But I remember I was talking with some of our designers who are brilliant. They're always coming up with ideas and then testing them. And if you guys knew how many ideas never see the light of day because they don't even work, in testing, or they're not feasible, there's so much that goes on. But yeah, one thing that was really cool was so we have this snooze feature, right? Where you can snooze a target, where if you don't want to actually set money aside there, or if you want to get rid of the yellow for a month, you can hit snooze. We could do this with that feature, with the auto snooze. So you could say, okay, set aside $100 for car maintenance every month, and then auto snooze it once it hits $2,000, right? That would be kind of a cool way. So yeah, we're playing with ideas like that. But again, no promises, okay? It's not happening. These are just ideas. But I think that'd be a really fun way to kind of make the target have a cap. If you just like kind of automatically snooze the target if it hits a certain amount, but we'll see. And it's a highly requested feature to have a cap on those targets.
It is. Yeah, I hear that one all the time. Okay, so there we go. Advanced setup. We have targets on everything.
There you go.
And that's probably what you want if you are a YNAB budget nerd, if you're tackling this advanced setup. And when you have targets on everything, that unlocks the cost to be me.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, I think this is where we differed a little bit in the simple setup video, where I was saying cost to be me, that's an advanced feature.
Yeah.
Don't even worry about that. And you were like, I think we can utilize it.
I struggle with it because it's like, yes, it is. Okay, I would call this an advanced feature, but it's so useful for new people. I like wanted to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But yeah, definitely we can go ham on it here because this is the advanced setup. So cost to be me is it's basically just the sum of your targets for that month that you're looking at.
Yeah, YNAB is adding up all these monthly amounts and telling me to fund this entire plan this month. We need $6,252.50.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious.
It's going to go, you won't see it at all.
You don't see it in October.
Yeah, but actually in October, it might be a little more. Actually, if you look at the cost to be me, you'll see next month's target could increase your total.
There we go.
To that.
Yeah.
So, because that's going to include like the dog food, which is currently funded in September, right? But next month, we're going to need to put aside whatever amount that was. So that's why that's a little more. So you'll always have a note there saying, hey, it could be different next month, but this is what it is this month. Yeah.
And this is where you can now do a reality check on your plan. If you're doing an advanced setup, my guess is you want your expected income to be really close to what the total of your targets are. So let's say our monthly income here is $6,400.
There you go.
Okay. So that works for this month. It works for next month, right? We've got a little bit of margin here.
Yes.
And maybe we go back and we tweak some things.
Yeah, because you might find you're like, oh man, well, my expected income is 6,400, but all the targets are like 7,500, right? You might be like, well, this plan isn't realistic, right? So you can adjust.
Yeah. And yeah, if it goes the other way, yeah, definitely adjust, get it a little bit closer. But
yeah. And I wouldn't live and die by this. Like I have about $600 difference between my targets and my expected income because I like to have some money to work with for discretionary things or like goals that we're going after that I don't set targets on, so you don't have to be exact. And a lot of folks, you might even have more money going to targets than your income because you want to make choices about which targets you want to fund and which you don't, right? So it doesn't have to be exact, but it's just a way to kind of gut check yourself and say, is this realistic, right? Also just kind of get an idea, like, what does it cost to be me? What does it cost for me to exist for a month? Not just including monthly bills, but also all the non-monthlies and all that, which is pretty helpful. Yeah,
right now, our targets are higher than our expected income because of the food situation with Ridge. And I'm just like, I just don't want to deal with it right now. I'm going to figure it out later. So
yeah. Well, so it sounds like things are going on medically with Ridge and you're just like, I've got to deal with this and then I'll figure out the money.
Right. I'll figure out the money later on. I just know going into October, I'm not going to be able to hit every single target and that's okay.
Can you just tell us, is Ridge okay?
Oh, Ridge is totally okay.
He's just getting more expensive.
He's just very picky about what kind of food he needs, and that food isn't cheap.
Got it. Understood. All right. Okay. Well, we didn't mention scheduled transactions at all, and this is I would call this an advanced feature for setup, right?
Absolutely. So those things that you pay for on a regular occurrence, and generally it's the same amount, instead of entering those yourself every single time or waiting for them to import a day or two later, set up a scheduled recurring transaction. And that way it just auto fires on whatever frequency you set up. I love scheduled transactions. I have them set up for everything.
Yeah, I didn't use them for years and years, and you convinced me to start using them, and I do like them a lot. If anything, it's like something else to tinker with and YNAB. You know what I mean? It's kind of fun.
So let's walk through how to set up a scheduled recurring transaction. There's actually a couple different workflows you can take here. So let's say it's a brand new transaction. I'm just looking ahead into the future. I know something is coming down that spending pipeline. Let's get it into YNAB. So, what could we do here?
Internet bill, maybe?
Internet bill. That's perfect. So let's say that's due on October 7th.
Okay, so you're setting a future date here.
Future date. Here's the magic. I want that to repeat every month.
There you go.
And sometimes, look, we have a lot of different cadences here. And sometimes people will, for the biweekly situation, they'll set up a biweekly and every other week scheduled transaction.
Yeah, so that's another way to do the biweekly. You could do that instead of a target or in addition to the target if you want.
The only reason I don't like this is it doesn't help you proactively prepare for the 3 payment months.
Right.
It just all of a sudden surprises you. Hey, it's a 3-month, it's a 3 payment month. You better set aside a whole bunch of extra money.
Yeah. So you'll be sitting there and it's all of a sudden it's 50% more, right? You're
yes.
Like, whoa, that's rough. Yeah.
Okay, so monthly, and then it's just the rest of a transaction like you normally would. Internet service provider coming from the internet category, and let's say
I think we said $100.
$50.
Oh, 50. There you go. Perfect. And there you go. So so it sits in its own special little box on your account register. It's grayed out so you can kind of distinguish that it's not actually in your register, but it will be when the 7th comes around.
Right. It's not impacting that balance. It's not impacting that category right now. But if I do go to that category, so let's go to October.
Yeah, you got a couple
Internet.
benefits that you get right here. Yeah.
Yeah, now I have that little calendar icon right there. And that's just letting me know, hey, you have one upcoming transaction for $50. And after that bill goes out, you're going to have negative 50 in that category.
Yeah,
so
which is really
better
nice.
Do something.
Yeah, it just kind of like warns you, hey, you're going to have a problem here at the end by the end of the month if you don't deal with something. So, and it'll turn yellow if that available after upcoming is ever negative, which is helpful. Other things you can do with this too, turn on running balance real quick, Ernie. If you go to view. A lot of folks I've talked to use this just to kind of get a vibe on their cash flow in any one account. So like if they have a bunch of bills coming out of a certain account, it shows the running balance if that transaction were to go through. Now, this isn't perfect because you're going to have other transactions in this checking account that maybe you haven't scheduled, but it just kind of gives you a vibe for like how much cushion maybe you need in that account, which is helpful, I think.
Okay, let's walk through the other workflow for those scheduled transactions. I talked about how you can start one from scratch. You can take a transaction that already has happened and convert it into a scheduled recurring transaction. So this is really good if you're like, well, I don't know what actually my bills are, and you're just going to kind of deal with them as they come in. Maybe you have a linked account. Let's see, do I have any? I don't have any accounts that have actual spending in them. So let's delete that previous one. Let's say the internet bill was due today. So this is a transaction. We'll mark it as cleared, just showing that it imported. It really did happen. I'm just going to take this old transaction and convert it into a scheduled recurring. So I'm going to double click into the date and I'm going to make this repeating.
There you go. Yeah. So if you've forgotten something, that's a good way to add it.
Yes.
So there you go. So yeah, I have all my recurring bills set up as a scheduled transaction. I also do this thing, like I get an email from my electric company when they know what the amount's going to be. And they say like, okay, on October 6th, $300 is going to go out. Right. And so I'll add a scheduled transaction for that manually every time and just don't repeat it. Because I know it's going to be different the next time it comes around. Just kind of
interesting.
Cool. Yeah. And I only do that. I don't really need to do it because I have the target to set aside the money for it, but I don't know. It's just kind of fun for me. I like to enter it ahead of time. So
Here's how I handle that, because I have scheduled recurring transactions for all my credit card payments.
okay.
And yeah, those amounts change every single month. So what I do is, this is a monthly transaction. And then once I get that email from the credit card company, I just go into that next scheduled one and I change what the amount is.
Nice. Yeah, that's faster, because what I could do is I could add an electric bill transaction, scheduled transaction, and just have no, have no amount on it, and then I can go and edit it. So the other few ways you can handle that, but yeah, that's what I do. I just add it, and you don't have to make it repeating. So if you have maybe a one-off bill that you know is coming, you could enter it and not have a repeat on it, and it'll show up as a scheduled transaction, so long as you set any kind of future date, which is kind of cool.
All right, that's scheduled transactions.
Cool.
Now, this is already pretty long, Ben, but we have a few more tips and tricks that we want to share, because this is advanced.
Yeah, you guys don't mind. Let's talk about snoozing targets. So I mentioned this earlier when I was teasing ideas for new features, just ideas. But yeah, if you ever don't want to set money aside for a target, or maybe you move money in the middle of the month and that available amount turns yellow, you can always snooze it. So you just got to hit the category and tap a little snooze button. And basically it just says, okay, you don't have to set any money aside for this, or you don't have to set any more money aside. And it just turns green or gray. And there you go. You can kind of ignore the target. And what will happen in October is it'll reactivate automatically. So you don't have to worry about unsnoozing it.
And you can only snooze in the current month. I can't move forward, even though it's September 30th, and I can't snooze the October target there. It's disabled.
Yeah. And there's a note there explaining why I know that our team had very good reasons for them, and I don't know what they are, but that there's some software design reasons for that. All right.
Yeah, so this is really helpful, especially if you do your setup in the middle of the month and there's some bills, there's expenses you already paid for. You just snooze those categories, and then you just know, I don't have to fund these categories. And it takes away that yellow as well.
Yeah, and this is something you could do if you are one of those people that are like, I don't really care for my cost to be exact to my expected income. You could choose the targets that you're not going to fund, or you're not going to fully fund this month, and just snooze them. And that way you don't have to be constantly reminded, hey, you didn't fully fund everything. What are you going to do? Right?
Absolutely.
Just let it go. So that's helpful.
Okay, let's talk about focused views.
Yeah, this is a kind of it's not really a setup thing, but it's kind of a setup thing, because you might want to set up some focused views. So.
Right, because right now I'm looking at all my categories, but maybe I want to slice and dice these categories or these groups in different ways, or maybe I want to set up a view for my partner, because they don't want all this noise. They don't want the colors and the numbers and categories. They just want it really simple.
Yeah, so you can create, we'll talk about preset views, but you can create custom views however you want. So yeah, why don't we do that? Like, let's say maybe like something for a partner. There's just like a few things maybe they need to take care of, right? Like, I don't know what it would be. Maybe they have a personal category. It could be that.
So we'll do fun money.
There you go. Clothing.
This is there aren't a whole lot of categories
this is
in
a
this
bare bones plan.
And we'll say they buy all the dog food.
There you go.
So they like keeping an eye on what's
available. Or maybe like they
there.
handle the groceries. Like that might be a good one.
Perfect.
We got a groceries guy. There we go. Yeah. So then they can just see just these categories, and they don't have to look at like the car insurance bill that's due in a year, right?
Right. You go from this to, there's just the 4 categories, the only 4 categories that I care about. Sweet. I'm in.
Yeah. And that'll stay on, that's like client specific. So, which I mean, it's like device specific. So if they're on their phone, they could have that focus view on, and it'll just stay on, and they can just look at those categories unless they change it. So that's helpful for sure.
Yeah. And a lot of people use these, they're like, okay, I want to dial in how much I spend on vehicles. Let's make one for those. That's always a good one.
Yeah.
Vehicles. So that is the gas. That's the car loan, car insurance, car maintenance,
It's always so many categories with cars. Like if we didn't have
So
cars,
many.
everything would be so simple. Yeah.
Seriously, I've done this in my own plan, and I'm like, why do we have vehicles? Like, so much money. Makes me want to just sell one of them right now.
It's so true.
But yeah, you could do that for home expenses.
Yeah, any kind of theme you can think of, you can just slice and dice it, right?
People use the views for like the bare minimum. You know, if I were to lose my job today, what are the necessities, the have-tos in my plan?
That's perfect. Yeah, then you can get an idea of how much it costs for you if you're not being bougie, you know?
Yep.
So that's really helpful. And then you got these preset views, which are made by the software, made by YNAB. They can't be changed, but they do very specific things. So underfunded shows you, there's a few more that aren't even here right now, I don't think. But anyway, underfunded shows you any categories that are yellow because they don't have enough money in them based on the target or the scheduled transactions that you set. Here's overfunded, which I use at the beginning of every month. So we talked about those top up targets, the refill up to targets, right?
Yes.
So we talked about how, okay, YNAB doesn't know how much you're going to spend before the end of the month. So if you look forward to next month, it's always going to tell you to put in the total amount, right? Just in case, because I'd rather. This is kind of a trade-off decision we needed to make, because it's like, okay, well, if we tell you to do the top up now before the new month starts, you might end up with too little money in there because you spend more in the current month, and if you do it the other way around, you might end up with too much. So we went with, okay, I think I'd rather err on the side if you end up with too much, right? So I have all these categories where I end up with too much money because I set the full amount aside next month, and then I only spend some of it, and YNAB prompts me to only fund a certain amount. So that focus view is super handy because on the first day of the month, I just click that overfunded focus view. It shows me all the categories that have too much money in it based on the target that I set, and I can hit that. And then there's also a little auto assign option called reduce overfunding. And it just moves that extra, that overfunded amount right up to ready to assign, which is pretty handy.
So let me put in a little bit extra. There's that reduce overfunding.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. So what the workflow is for Ben is an amount gets assigned, not all of it was spent, carries over. Ben assigned the full amount for the next month. And then when it's actually October 1st, this is overfunded.
Yeah. And so I hit overfunded and I move all that money. And
it would show up there.
I do it one by one because it's fun for me, but you could select all the categories in that view and just hit underfunded and all of it will move.
And you wouldn't even need to select the categories. You can just hit the reduce overfunding and it takes it from everything. But yeah,
you could do it that way.
I'm with you. I like going one by one in a lot of categories for things.
Yeah. Well, it's fun for me because it's kind of like, I don't think of it like a reward because like I don't feel bad about spending a certain amount of money, you know, but it's kind of nice because it's like, hey, you didn't spend all your entertainment money. Now you got a little extra money you can use, you know, for whatever else you want. So it's kind of fun for me. I like that a lot. Money available is pretty straightforward. It's just any categories that have money in it. And won't show you any that are zero or negative. So that's helpful. If you do have any overspending, you'll see an overspent focus view. Actually, like cause some overspending real quick. Like I guess let's do like a minus amount in any of these categories, or add a transaction that works.
Let's enter that internet right now.
Yeah, so you got there. So you see you have this red overspent focus view that showed up, and it's red. It's got a big warning sign on it. So this is a way if you have a lot of overspending, you can hit that and you can just work through it one by one, which is nice.
I think that's super helpful if you have a lot of categories and you might miss them by scrolling. Just hit that, especially at the end of the month. I want to, before the monthly rollover, I want to pay back those overspent categories. Just bring up that overspent filter, that view brings up everything.
There you go. Then you got snoozed, which is any categories that have a target that's currently snoozed right now.
Yeah.
So, and I kind of use that as like, what categories have I moved money away from this month? Because I'm a month ahead. All of the money is fully funded. And so if I look at snoozed, I can see where I've removed money because when I move the money, it turns yellow and I don't want it to be yellow. I always snooze the target, right? And so it's kind of a little little report of what's going on there, which is nice.
And that's focused views.
Yeah. I'm looking to see if there's any others that I missed as far as the presets. I think that's it. Yeah, that's all of them.
I think that's it as well.
Yep.
All right, let's talk YNAB Together. We haven't talked YNAB Together in a really long time. This is an old feature, but it's so good, especially if you are using YNAB with your partner.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they can have their own login, and you can just invite them to your plan. And it's not just for partners; it's really any close-knit group of people that you want, right? So you can invite up to 5 people to share. They can have their own plan that they own, that's theirs. The person who controls the overall account, the group manager, can see all the plans, but they can't see. The person you invite can only see the plans that you decide they can see. So you can have multiple plans in there. Lots of really helpful things. Like, for example, maybe that person wants to move on and create their own YNAB account. They can take their plan with them. So like maybe you have like a teenager in your family and they have some income and they have their own plan. Later on when they're independent and they're going to pay for their own YNAB account and go off into the sunset, they could create that and take that plan with them, which I think is a really cool thing.
That is super cool. People often ask in workshops, how do I share my plan with my partner, specifically with their partner? And, you can just share your login credentials.
Right. Yeah.
That's the easy way. But I always tell them about YNAB Together because then you each get your own login. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's a little bit more buy-in when you have your own account and then you have access to the shared plans. But then the other cool thing is you can decide whether or not you want to use 2FA.
Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes, if you share the login, it's all or nothing. You're either both using it or you're both not. And sometimes that just doesn't work. Usually there's one person who they love all the security features and the other person's like, nope, I don't want any of that. I use the same password for everything all the time. Yeah.
And there's other benefits too to adding your partner, especially if you have multiple plans. Like if you have like a shared plan and then like your one partner has their personal plan and the other partner has their personal plan because you have separate accounts, right? Yeah. I mean, love is forever, but sometimes it's not. And so if you and your partner ever split up, they could take their personal plan with them if they create a new YNAB account, right? So like there's things like that, but it's not really just for that. Like I think the main use case is for partners. For teenagers, like your boys, Ernie, if they I'm sure they could have their own YNAB plan if you wanted to set them up that way.
Yep.
Or for elderly family members, like if you're managing finances for, or maybe an elderly family member or anybody who's disabled in any way and needs help managing their finances, this is huge. Like maybe you're taking care of your mom's money, right? Because she's just getting older and she needs help. You could have a YNAB plan for it, and you could invite all your siblings into that, so they could observe what you're doing, and there's no like, oh, what's going on, with mom's money. You can see what's going on. So those are really the main use cases if you're like taking care of somebody else's plan because they're disabled or they're elderly, or you have teenagers or you have a partner you want to invite.
Yeah, so make sure you utilize YNAB Together. That is a great feature and one that I just don't think we talk about enough around here.
There you go. Okay, we've gone through a lot of advanced setup features. I think we're going to end it there. There are so many more. When we were going through this and planning this episode, there were many little things that I wanted to talk about. And Ernie's like, no, man, it's not setup. We're talking about setup only. So because we've already gone so long this episode, we had to like limit it a little bit. But yeah, if you want to see like, what are like the really advanced features that nobody thinks about, we could talk about that as a separate thing. But this is like, if you want to get really nerdy with just your setup, I think we've done it. I think we've gone through everything you can do.
All right, friends. So what did we miss? Is there an advanced setup trick or tip that you use? Let us know in the comments or shoot us an email at budgetnerds@ynab.com. But before we let you go, we got to share a couple YNAB wins.
All right, let's do it.
All right, my YNAB win comes from Kafnor. This is a YouTube comment on the Many Goals, One Plan episode. And man, I think we did that like a year ago. So
I have no memory of that.
that it's about par for the course.
Oh,
We're
I
pretty
remember that
behind.
episode now. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
My little YNAB win is finding there's money left over in a category after paying off an annual bill. That means I could afford to save the extra, and also that I have a head start on next year's bill with inflation.
There you go.
That's a great YNAB win. I don't care if it's little or big. That's a win, and that's worth celebrating. That always feels good. Those wins, though, even the little ones, they feel great.
Well, I feel like it's perfect for this episode too, because we kind of talked about that a little bit. So that's cool.
Excellent.
Right. I have one from Calix who wrote an email. Calix said, I completed 5 years of graduate school last year and moved to a new city where I knew nobody to start my job. Oof, scary. Okay. 10 days into my contract, before I had even received my first paycheck, my car was totaled in an accident that was not my fault. Thank goodness I got a fabulous payout, and paired with money I had left in other categories, I was able to put down 80% on a brand new car with all the features I wanted for a car I had planned to get years down the line. Okay, that's cool. You turn that into something good. I ended up transferring the small loan remaining to a 0% interest credit card, because even though there was a 5% balance transfer fee, I was able to put an amount equivalent to the loan in a CD at 5.5%. All right, Calix, look at you.
Working the system.
Meaning with tax, it would be just about free. Yesterday, I paid off that loan. I graduated from 10 years of higher education with no debt, thanks in large part to YNAB. And what could have been a total emergency at the very start of my career became a mild inconvenience because of my savings. Every time I get in my car, I'm so grateful that I was able to swing this situation. Hey, Calix, way to go. That's awesome.
Wow.
When you have cash lying around, you can do a lot of things. So yeah, and you were able to do that because you used YNAB for a long time. So that's really cool. I love that.
Yeah. Awesome. If you have a YNAB win, be sure to share it with us either in the comments or email us. We'd love to hear from you.
All right. We'll see you later.
See ya and happy YNABing.